Hey everyone, welcome to today's Explainer. So today we're doing something really empowering. We're breaking down a high-energy, totally actionable playbook to build a recession-proof strategy for your finances and your career. Basically, we're trading in all that economic fear for solid structure and pure preparedness. So let's dive right in and take control of how to protect your money and your career.
Layoffs, rising prices, shrinking savings. Yeah, these are the anxiety-inducing warning signs absolutely dominating the headlines right now. And look, it's the kind of news that makes you just want to hide under the covers, right? But recognizing these signs, it isn't about panicking. Actually, it's about acknowledging the reality of the economic environment so we can actively counter these core threats.
And that brings us to the ultimate mindset shift, predicting a recession versus preparing for one. Honestly, the single biggest mistake people make when the economy gets rocky is wasting their energy trying to play fortune teller. They try to predict exactly when the downturn will hit or exactly how deep it's going to be. But here's the reality. You don't need to predict a recession. Your focus should be entirely on preparing for it. Because, well, if you're prepared, the exact timing doesn't even matter. You're insulated regardless of when the storm actually breaks.
Which brings us to Rule 1. Diversify your income. The golden rule here: never rely on just one paycheck. Think about it. A single income source is literally the biggest structural risk to your finances. If that one pipe shuts off, your entire financial ecosystem dries up instantly. So we need to build more pipes. I know, it sounds a bit intimidating, but you can start really small. Pick up some freelance contract work using skills you already have. Maybe monetize a side skill or a hobby, or start building passive income like dividends. You're essentially building a diversified portfolio, but instead of stocks, it's a portfolio of income streams.
Now, if that feels a little overwhelming, just focus on this number, $300. You absolutely don't need to replace your entire salary on day one. Bringing in just an extra $300 a month builds this vital financial buffer that can cover spiking utility bills or, a week of groceries. It's a small target to establish before layoffs even start making the news, but let me tell you, it yields massive psychological and financial relief.
Moving right along to Rule 2, make yourself indispensable.
So when the economy shrinks, companies cut costs, right? But here's the secret. They don't cut their top performers. They cut the expendable line items. To make sure you're an absolute necessity, you've got to learn hard-to-automate skills that some cheaper contractors simply can't replicate. Keep a record. Document your wins so management sees your direct, undeniable impact. Know your exact market value out there in the broader industry. And finally, use any downtime you have to upskill and network. Recessions actively reward adaptability. The folks who bounce back the fastest after a setback, they aren't just lucky, they are the most prepared.
All right, let's look at Rule 3. Build your cash armor.
Notice how we aren't just talking about a standard savings account here. We're talking about armor, a literal physical shield of liquidity standing between you and financial disaster. Now, the gold standard recommendation from financial experts is to have 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up in an easily accessible account. Note the accessible part. We don't want this locked away in a retirement fund where you get slapped with a penalty for touching it. It needs to be liquid. And hey, in highly uncertain times, aim even higher than 6 months if you've got the capacity for it. For sure, it's the most robust defensive play you can possibly make.
The psychology at play here is absolutely crucial. This isn't about fear. It's about buying yourself time and options if things go sideways. Building a cash cushion is a strategic, calculating move to preserve your choices. Because think about it. If you lose your job and have zero savings, you kind of have to take the very first terrible job that comes along just to keep the lights on. But 6 months of cash armor, that buys you half a year to find the exact right opportunity. You literally just bought yourself options.
Which leads us to our final strategy. Rule 4, cut high-interest debt.
Look, you can build all the income streams in the world, but if you have a massive leak in your financial boat, you're still going to sink. High-interest debt is basically a ticking clock. Now, in a thriving economy, sure, you might be able to out-earn those interest rates, but in a downturn, it compounds, it grows, and it completely suffocates your cash flow. You have to address this immediately, like right now, while you still have a steady income and the financial leverage to actually attack it.
So how do we neutralize this threat? First off, attack your credit cards. They carry the most toxic, highest interest rates out there. Next up, target your variable rate loans. If inflation shifts or the economic environment changes, those rates adjust upward, and honestly, they can totally trap you. Ultimately, reducing your total overall debt removes the economy's leverage over your personal life. It's a simple equation. The less you owe, the more power you hold, and the less impact a recession is going to have on your daily life.
So here's the big question.
Are you going to let a recession happen to you, or are you going to prepare for it? A downturn isn't just some crazy weather event you have to stand in and suffer through. You can actively, aggressively prepare for it using the exact playbook we've outlined today. Diversify that income, become totally indispensable at work, build up your cash armor, and cut that ticking clock of high-interest debt. You've got the tools. Now it's time to step up, take control, protect your money, and really secure your career. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.